Welcome to Part 4, Creating Your Presentation Board. When attending a science expo, you have three main options to choose from for how you're going to create your presentation board. The first one is to go buy a cardboard trifold from a store like Staples. You can then affix all your information to the board using tape or glue and construction paper. While this is very affordable and portable, these displays tend to fall apart over time, and they also don't have a very professional look. Your next option is to use a thicker material like wood. You can paint the wood whatever color you want and then affix your information to it using double-sided tape. This results in a very professional look and also a much sturdier design. You can also attach things to the wood to make your project look even more professional. For example, you can put a thin sheet of acrylic or Lexan on top of the wood to give it a very polished look, or attach brackets to mount iPads or laptops so that you can add slideshows and animations to your display. While it's very professional and sturdy, wood is also extremely heavy and is very difficult and expensive to transport if you end up moving on to the Intel ISEF competition. Lastly, and most commonly at ISEF, you have a printed display. To do this, you need to design your entire display in some digital format and then send off your files to a local printing store or a large store like Staples. For about $150, you can print a large trifold-like setup, and then you would need to design some sort of stand or backdrop to hold your printed banners. I personally would recommend using PVC pipe as it is very portable and light to create your stand.
Keep in mind that you are designing your presentation board to satisfy the judges. On the NHSEE or the Intel ISEF website, you can find a rubric, which is what the judges will judge your project off of. Also keep in mind that for science and engineering, the rubric slightly differs, although the categories of the rubric are the same. When you are designing how to set up your presentation board, it is helpful to create a paper copy so that you can lay out everything without having to redo your whole presentation board.
Something to keep in mind if you're going for a lot of information or a very large display are the maximum dimensions set forth by ISEF. Your project can be no more than 4 feet wide and 30 feet deep. Furthermore, they give you a 3-foot table and you can't extend more than 6 feet above that table for a total height of 9 feet. These dimensions, there's no wiggle room on these dimensions, and they will disqualify you if you're outside of those parameters.
There are also some important rules that you must follow. For example, all of your images must be cited if they are not taken by you, and any images that you did take must have consent for any of the people that are in them. You are not provided with a consent form, so you'll have to write it up yourself and get the people in your images to sign them. You also must remember that your abstract must be displayed at your project, as long as some other forms that you can find in the rulebook. If you print out this rulebook, there are more in-depth safety and display regulations that you will find from ISEF's website.
The last thing you need to consider while creating your project is how transportable it is. If you end up doing very well at the New Hampshire Science and Engineering Expo, you will progress to the Intel International Science and Engineering Fair, and you'll need some way of transporting your project. Most commonly, you can create your project so that it folds down to a very small size, and you can carry your project on the plane with you while you're traveling to wherever the fair is that year. But there's also very advanced shipping logistics in place by ISEF to help you get your larger projects to the fair. The primary shipper is UPS, and obviously the heavier and larger your project is, the more expensive it gets. We would definitely recommend making your project so that it can fold down into a large suitcase to avoid all of these logistical problems.
Now that you have your presentation board set up, we will go into attending the NHSEE.